So, I know this is kind of funny,
Beer.
but if I'm being completely serious,
Yes.
we need a bigger beer fridge.
Well, I don't know that we need a bigger beer fridge.
Oh, we do. I'll go buy one.
Okay, whatever.
We've got one in the garage.
We got to move that toolbox, though, so we can fit the whole fridge right there.
That's whatever.
Put snacks, food, grill food in there.
This is not snack hour.
So when
okay?
JoJo gets hungry, he can eat something.
Everybody pause. I need a snack.
We're like, uh-oh.
All they're gonna hear is
Oh, wait, here we go.
warming hot pockets.
Oh, my God, yeah. You know, wind up with a microwave in here, and you hear it. And then deet. Living the dream, ASMR. All right, here you go. We can do it. We can do another microphone breakup. Are you finish that? Don't be a bitch. Drink your spit.
Huh.
Okay.
I didn't like the way you did that, and I really didn't like to drink that.
All right, ready? We'll do 3, 2, 1. Wait, you're not ready. Get ready. Okay, 3, 2, 1. There it is. Wow,
That one peaked.
That one
was a
peaked a lot. All right, guys. So we're gonna kick this off right now. This is a big episode. This is first video episode.
I'm uncomfortable.
No, I know. I don't know what to do with my hands.
I'm gonna if I put these glasses on, it makes me feel like nobody can see me.
Oh my God. So we're gonna be dealing with that the whole podcast.
Yep.
All right. Well,
I'm Stevie Wonder's grandson.
it's illegitimate grandson or legitimate grandson.
Twice removed.
Twice removed. So this is Living the Dream podcast. I'm Sam.
I'm Josiah.
I'm Tegan.
Today we're going to touch on a hot topic. It is hot topic right now in the manufacturing realm because I do believe we had discussed on our previous episode union versus non-union.
Non-union all the way.
Maybe that wasn't the best sound. But so we're going to go through. We've actually done some research. We've done a little bit of looking into this.
We've actually prepped for this episode.
Right. We're trying to make, because we know there are hardcore union members that are out there. I grew up in a union household, which my grandfather's going to turn over in his grave after this one. So I apologize, Pop, but it is what it is, brother. It's a different era. So we're gonna go over what we've found. Tegan, you seem to be the most researched out of all of us. Like I've got some stuff that I want to contribute. I can plug that in at a later date or a later time, actually. But since you've got it all started off here, what do we lay? How about we lay a foundation?
See,
what's a union? How did it start? When did it start?
First things first, I got this. Just gotta make up for my prohibition comment. So I'm making up for it right now.
It turns out he's the most researched person on the podcast. He just happened to screw up, and we busted his balls.
So before the labor union was called the Labor Union, it was actually called the Federal Society of Journeyman Code Warners. Probably saying the last part wrong, but it was mainly
It's actually Code Wainers.
Code Wainers?
Yes.
Okay.
I did. that was one thing that I did look up.
Yeah.
They're leather workers.
Leather workers and cobblers, shoe workers.
Yes.
That's what it mainly first started off with.
Which I wish there was more cobblers around because I'd sure love to have some of the boots that I have resold, and I can't find one. So if anybody out there in the podcast land or on the tubes of you now, if you know a good cobbler in the Tulsa, Oklahoma area, send them drop them in the email, drop them in the comments. Let us know because us blue collar boys would like to resole some boots.
Go through a lot of boots.
Yeah, I know guys that go through boots in like 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
$300 pair of boots, and they're going through them in 3 months.
About every 6 months, I got to buy a new pair.
Yeah.
So funny beer thought. We're not even like 2 minutes into the episode here and already got a beer thought. But I saw a TikTok the other day that was talking about like, oh, you're running around in your Jordans that cost you $250. Be like, I stomp through the mud in $300 work boots every day. Whoopee.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Getting back to it.
Yes.
Circling back. So that's kind of the beginning of the labor union, quotation marks. That was where it all started from, and the next big movement for it was after the I can't remember the name of it. No. I'm actually going to think of the right name this time.
Right.
The, God, what is the name?
Industrial Revolution?
Yes, that
there it is.
Oh.
That one.
Gotcha.
So that one started off a lot more of the union workers and more laborers joining the union.
Right. So how many did you manage to find a number on how many labor unions there are in the U.S. right now?
I could not find. I didn't look up a number on how many labor unions there were.
Okay, so I will say that's one of the things, and I actually, on the way to record this podcast, found it. There's over 3,000 labor unions and almost 2 million members in the labor in a labor union currently. And I could be misspeaking, and if somebody can correct me on that, that's fine. But that was a podcast that was for a New York that was Labor Strong, I think is what the podcast was. Huh. But it was just one of those deals that they had a topic that was talking about the labor unions in 2023. So I was like, this might be a good one to listen to. There could be some good stuff in there. Turns out there was. Anyhow, carry on.
I gotta remember my train of thought. Keep talking.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and I'll plug my little bit of information that I got in here. Well, hey, we can do this. We can just start off with what are y'all's opinion of labor union? Are you for or against labor unions?
There was a time and place. It's no longer the time and place, realistically, for a union.
I'll say this, and like before we came in here, we were talking to Tom. So unions are good.
Right.
I want to say that, get that out of the way first. Unions are good, but humans are inherently evil.
Oh.
So the object or what's the word? I'm blanking out right now. But basically the point of the union that was meant to be was to protect the workers,
right,
and make sure that everybody was receiving adequate things that they needed to do their job, and other stuff like that, protecting them from overworking and child slavery and child labor,
good health care,
good
reasonable wages.
So I think in that part, that's the good aspect of it. However, I think what runs into the issue is like what we were talking about with Tom. He said is you run into an issue where seniority happens a lot with unions. And so and I've ran into this, where on the seniority aspect, you run into these guys that have been there for 40, 50 years on this union. Well, their pension's set. They're good to go. They're retiring in the next couple of years. But at the same time, they're still grouchy old men that they don't want to teach you anything, and they don't want to give up. They don't like the feeling that they're giving up their position. Right. And so inherently that makes the younger generation that tries to come into a union, all these old guys and everything, they want to get them shoved out because they want to keep their seniority, because what happens when you get overtaken by a younger guy?
Well, but the thing is, though, is in the union world, I don't know that you really can get overtaken by a younger guy, because, I mean, your seniority is still seniority. It's still time on the job. It's time spent working. So I don't think that there is the possibility of being overtaken by that. That's one of the things that I will say is an inherent problem with the union, is because you cannot exceed your superiors, period. That's like you may be at an equal at some point, but you're going to have to fight your ass off to get there.
Right. And I take that to look at, if you go look at other people right now, there's kids that are way further along that are, we'll say 20, 25 years old, roughly in that range, that are further along than somebody that's been in a union, for 50 plus years. But
Right.
again, like I said, there's a difference between union and that free market.
Right.
And I will say too, another thing I've noticed is whenever these big layoffs come, whenever a big layoff happens, who's the first people to get laid off? It's going to be the younger guys.
Yeah.
It's going to be the younger guys that are the first ones.
The younger or the guys closest to retirement.
Yeah, sometimes.
Depending on how much pool they have.
Yeah,
because I've seen guys where they're, no matter what happens, they're always there. They're always getting their paycheck. And
well, I mean, the first thing that usually happens before layoffs is early retirement type.
Right. They give you
Let
the
goes
option
or
to take
payoffs.
it. Yeah.
And I'll say that the other part that frustrates me is the entitlement attitude. Whenever you
In
have
what? In the union realm?
in the union realm, I've seen, and I'm just speaking from this. I'm just speaking from this from the standpoint of looking into what I've experienced myself with union guys.
Right.
And it's always, oh well, the union is the best thing since sliced bread, and if you're not a part of the union, then what are you doing?
Right. So just to clarify with everybody, everyone that's here, and I think I can speak for, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but everyone that is here is non-union. We're none of us are a member of a union. There's no tie to a union.
And
the only thing is I have family history with a union.
And so I'll say, like, Tegan, what do you do for work? Like, you're a mechanic, right?
I work on engines, all
diesels, gas, all that stuff. I'm a plumber by trade. For anybody watching the video, if any new people have come in and started watching this, I'm a plumber by trade, free market. I do new construction. I've done service. Pass on that. You service guys have all of that.
and then I'm a CNC technician for industrial equipment. I do a little bit of all of it.
Yeah, I hesitate to call you a CNC technician.
That's my specialty.
Okay.
That's where
I can see that being a specialty, but for me, looking at what you do, like, you're like everything encompassed in everything that nobody gets to see, touch, or do, and that requires a very specific set of skills and tools.
I will find you.
That's what goes with it,
right?
Because I feel like CNC machinist just groups it down to like, oh, well, you're a guy that fixes the machine.
He didn't say machinist. He said technician.
Yeah,
right.
Technician means he works on it.
Right. But I still think of the guy that pushes the buttons, and he's going to be like, oh, click, 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 open the panel, make the wires connection, and then close the panel, and the machine runs. Like, that's
right.
That's what I envision. But from what I've seen and heard, you do a whole lot more.
Right. So technically, what I am classified at work is I am a master mechanic. So I've peaked, which kind of I'm gonna.
Hey, at least you didn't peak in high school.
This is true. This is true.
I've never liked the master mechanic term. Never have. Never will.
To be honest with you, it's kind of
too broad.
No, it's kind of smug.
It is.
And I get what he's saying about that, because it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I am not a master at all.
Like the biggest thing that most runs I've had with people that have the master mechanic title, they're snobby because they have the title, and all they did, like, this is not putting against you or anything.
No, that's fine.
But all they did was study, take tests, and they passed.
Right.
Is generally what happens when you get a master mechanic title.
Right. Well, the good thing about that is I didn't have to study or take tests or any of that stuff. I just proved myself that I wasn't a retard. And
well, I mean, in like the dealership aspect of it, you have to take some courses, all that crap and everything.
Okay, so
to still make flag time at $13 an hour.
A little more than 13, but
so to circle back to that one, what do most dealerships? What are they under? Are they not part of the UAW?
Most dealerships are not unions.
Really?
Majority of dealerships are non-union dealerships.
Oh, okay.
It's the car manufacturers where almost all of them are unionized in one way or another.
Right. Well, the big three: Chevy, Ford, and Dodge, or whatever you heck they said. What did we determine last time Dodge was? Now it wasn't Daimler. It wasn't Daimler Chrysler. It was something else.
Fiat something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I know at one point in time they were.
All I know is they've sold out several times, but
But those shit is expensive.
There's that.
Stellantis.
Wow.
Stellantis was formed through the merger of the Fiat, Chrysler, and PSA group.
Huh. Okay.
So they're under the Stellantis umbrella.
Yeah.
So Fiat makes your Dodge 3500. There you go.
Thank God Cummins stayed separate.
That's the only reason they're expensive is because there's Cummins in them.
That's right. So the flag hours and stuff, that doesn't tie back. I was really hoping that would be a really good segue to come back to the union aspect of it.
I can roll it back in.
Because I worked
I want to say the reason that the Ram 3500s are not just expensive because of the Cummins, or I should say the whole Dodge, Cummins truck aura around them,
Right.
I'll say just tie it into any vehicle in general is expensive because of a lot of those general manufacturers are union.
Everything's
Yes.
outsourced as well.
And what have we learned that unions do from not only doing research and stuff like that? Anybody listening or watching like that, definitely go on and do your own research. Don't just take our word for it.
Right.
But unions typically, more often than not, drive up the cost of any product that is being performed, whether it's aircraft or whether it's a vehicle or anything like that.
Yeah, I would see. So that's one thing. So I had the opportunity to speak with a business owner that is against unions, and that was a tremendous opportunity because it was like, I know that they have a large corporation that they manage and take care of. So they are, one of the benefits that they have ran into with being non-union is that a lot of the customers, whenever they go to them to try and bid contracts and stuff like that, is one of the first questions they ask is, are you union or non-union? The customer's preference is non-union, simply on the fact that they don't have to worry about you being midway through their project and there's a labor strike and then they don't get their product. Or now they know that maybe not necessarily that your cost or your overhead is going to be more expensive or less expensive, than a union shop, but that they know that your employees are willing to go the extra mile to make sure that the customer is taken care of. And that was one of the things too that they mentioned is being non-union gives you more flexibility as a company, as opposed to this is a mouse and it only does mouse things. But in reality, this is a non-union mouse because this non-union mouse can do mouse things. It can do keyboard things too, because I can click a button and it goes back with the browser and it scrolls things and stuff like that. So this is a non-union mouse. It does all kinds of things.
You've got non-union, you have more freedom and you can actually like progress.
Right.
Like in non-union, you can progress more than unionized.
It does, and that was another thing that was brought up in that conversation was that the free market is easier in a non-union environment. It gives you more flexibility to explore avenues to where if you start down one track in a union, you're kind of stuck in that track, or you have to start all over again in another one.
Pay cut and everything that goes along with it.
Yeah, and I think that's even more apparent today. In the way, obviously, the economy is not as good as it was a couple years ago, but even then, with everything happening like it did, there's more of the younger crowd is realizing, hey, if I take the risk now, I have the opportunity to go out and make it and have myself set to where I can continue on and go further earlier on than being a part of a union. And I'm not trying to sit here and badmouth a union the entire time, but I mean, it's coming from we're all free market guys.
Right.
It's
and looking at the whole aspect of the union is you can. So now I will say, so fine, we'll do a little shift here for the union aspect of it. One of the things that I did find in my research is that the union worker on average makes 11% more a year.
I did read that.
And I'm like, wow, that's substantial. But
and is that just in general pay?
That's just in general pay. That's outside of benefits. That's outside of everything else. What I don't know if they're taking into any consideration is and I didn't have time to find the research on this, was how their benefits work, because a lot of times you pay your union dues, and your union dues are, I believe, are part of paying for your health benefits.
Part of it is actually paying for you to work there. Your union dues and fees, you pay it back to the union, so you still work at the union. I can't remember what year it was, but you used to have to sign a contract with the union you're working for.
Right.
And you pay back to that union a certain percentage until that contract is done, and then you renew it.
Okay.
So it's kind of like temp work in the sense of contract signing or whatever.
Okay. So I recall that being talked about growing up, to where it was, your contract is coming up and it's time for you to renegotiate your contract and stuff like that. So that's something that sounds familiar. So I get where you're saying on that one.
And I think
Sorry.
So for any of y'all that are hearing some new noise today, we've got new chairs. You can see in the video, maybe, I don't know. Well, hey, none of y'all have probably seen the previous studio anyhow, because we were in folding lawn chairs prior to this. So we've upgraded there. We've got we've got some lighting going on here, obviously the video. And so I have the chair that I have. I tried to fix with case lube earlier because it was the only thing that I had around here that was any kind of a lubricant. And here we go. Let's see if it picks it up.
Yeah, definitely.
I definitely picked it up.
So it didn't work. So case lube is not a substitute for WD-40, just for any of you firearms enthusiasts out there in the world.
Was it made by a union company, or was it made by a...
No, it was made by a non-union person. This guy right here. It was lanolin and alcohol.
Oh,
So
Lord.
the technical term for the contract is a union security agreement.
Oh, okay.
Is the actual term for it. And
So-
after 30 days of being employed there, you have to start paying dues and fees and all that crap.
Okay.
Just for being employed. Which is kind of
So by saying
Bass
being
backwards.
employed, you're saying just being a member of the union, not necessarily like you have a job.
just being a member. I can't remember if it's having that specific job there or if it's just being a member.
Okay.
I'm not 100% on that part.
Because if memory serves me correctly, which my memory is atrocious, but if I recall, your union dues are paid whether you're working or not.
Okay.
And that is one of those deals. It's like being a member of a club kind of deal. It's a boys' club. And you have to pay those union dues to maintain your membership within the union. So I think that the union dues are just to be a part of the union, and then you have access to the club benefits, basically, which is, they will have a list of jobs, like you were talking about on a previous episode, the job hopping, where you were talking about, you had to hear by word of mouth, like, to get referred for jobs on the road. That's where the union comes into play. There's the union of iron workers and union of millwrights and
Right.
all of this stuff. They all have the union stewards. They have the union headhunters, I think is what they're called. And they go out and they find jobs, and then they find people. They're saying, hey, our union has the best person for that job. Here they are. And they say, hey, I have this job. Do you want to take it? And you can be like, nah, man, I'm worth $38 an hour. Kidding me? I'll drag up at 32.
With this weld, I'm worth 40.
That's
Yeah, right. Here's 2 welds. This
So,
one's worth 12.
You want to know something interesting about the car manufacturers
Yes.
that are unionized?
Lay it on me.
Whenever they go and get automated equipment and upgrade their electronics and everything, they can't just let go of those people that
Nope.
they're replacing.
No.
They have to then find positions and sometimes pay raise for those people until they leave and no longer fill those positions back full with people after they leave, just to bring robots into the making of cars.
Right.
They can't just fire people.
We're on video now, so all your tisms and ticks and the
I
fact
know,
that you
I
can't
know.
sit still is going to be
I know it's going to be
available
bad.
to the public.
Everybody can look and see how much I actually fidget and move.
Everybody's going to see the back of my head most of the time because apparently I keep turning this way. So we may have to do some adjustment on the studio setup here.
If
But,
you guys
hey, it's
can
fine.
head over to the YouTube, and we'll have some clips on Facebook and stuff. But if you guys can head over there and tell us
How much
what
we
you
suck and what we need to do better with.
yeah, what we could do better and what you guys think we can improve on, so that way we can continue to grow. We have a loyal listener base now, so appreciate you guys for checking in and listening.
Yes.
This has been fantastic, and hopefully by the end of this, you'll figure out if whether you are if you are union or non-union. Check on Facebook for the discussion too.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
going to have a post on there, kind of entertaining some thought. So definitely, if while you're continue to listen to this, head on over there and maybe you can scroll through some of the comments and see what people have to say about union, non-union.
Yeah, we'd love for the interaction on the Facebook page. Get on there, get down in the comments, lay us some knowledge and some facts upon us. And in the oh my God.
And if you are union, let's get in contact and let's figure out how to maybe have a little sit down with you and see if you.
Yeah, we're open to sitting down with a union member and cussing and discussing some things, because I know we've done some research and found some facts and stuff like that. But when it comes right down to it, there's going to be some things that we missed. I'm sure.
Nothing compared to it like experience.
So what did I just find here? So this is a news release from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics.
What's the date?
This is January 23, 2024.
Oh.
Wow.
This is recent.
Oh.
Yes. So this does confirm it's actually a 10% in 2023. Little changed from the previous year. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported today the number of wage and salary workers belonging to unions. Oh, I was way the flip off. So that must have just been for the New York
area.
It must have been for the New York area. 14.4 million union members.
That sounds a little bit more.
Yeah, that sounds a little
But
more
that's
accurate.
only like 10% of the actual
Population.
non-union like the working population.
Right.
Whenever,
Still, though, I mean, that's a lot of people.
like in the 1930s, it was, let's see, it was 3 million people. 10 years before that, it was 5 million. In the 1930s, before the Great Depression and all that crap.
Right. So they're saying that it's 20%, and there was 17.7 million workers in 1983. So the year before I was born, there was 17.
You said that number was 14.2 million
This year.
this year?
It says the number of wage and salary workers belonging to unions at 14.4 million also showed little movement over the year in 1983, the first year for which comparable data is available. They typo in there. It says R. The union membership rate was 20.1%, and there was 17.7 million union workers, which I'm not sure what that 20.1% there.
So looking at this, so union workers only make up about 10% of the actual trade working force.
Really?
Yeah, according, if I'm reading this correctly. Yeah,
Okay.
so like you said, so reported the union membership rate was 10.3% in 2024. So that's 14.2 million wage and salary workers who are members of a union. This includes, I guess, both public and private sector unions. So, and then you come down.
So what is the difference in I don't know this. I don't know this information, and I'm not asking it to hang anybody up, but does somebody know what the difference is between public and private sector? What is the difference there?
I'll have an answer for you real quick. Check this out.
Do you know the keyboard? We have the fancy keyboard, and
Wow. I mean, I can guess again.
So the terms private sector and
Don't do
public
that.
sector refer to two distinct areas of the economy based on ownership and control of the organization and institutions.
Oh, so like privately owned and then openly
So
whatever.
privately owned and publicly traded
So-
kind of
Yes.
deal. So okay.
Private sector organizations. Whoa, sorry, my phone is gleeking.
Right.
So private sector organizations are driven by profit motives and operate in competitive markets. Examples of private sector entities include privately owned companies, small businesses, corporations, or nonprofit organizations.
Okay.
So public sector consists of government-owned or government-operated organizations and institutions that provide services and functions to the public.
Way off on that one.
So
Yeah, no, we were not.
Public sector organizations are funded by taxpayer dollars and are responsible for delivering public services such as education, healthcare, transportation, and public safety.
Okay, so go back to what was the original statistic there that we
Okay.
were talking about? Because
For
now
union?
that we have that, now that
For
we have
union?
that
Distinguished.
thank you. As to what it is, private and public is. What was it you were saying that it was 10% of the private and public?
Yeah. So the let's see. So I'll say, to quote me, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that union membership rate was 10.3%, representing 14.2 million wage and salary workers that were members of a union. This includes both public and private sector.
Okay,
So that's
okay.
government, and that's all the stuff we listed for.
Right.
That's teaching and healthcare and all that stuff.
That was what I was wondering. Is like, so how much? So I wondered how much of the government jobs are unionized. That would be an interesting. Let's see if we can find that information here. Let's consult the.
Well,
so
we
you want to
don't-
know
we-
how many government jobs are unionized?
Yeah, what's the percentage?
We don't need half of them anyways, so.
So also, I guess, let's say, are you talking about federal, state, or local government? Or you want to just group them all in together?
Let's go to the big one, federal.
I'm just going all. So we're going here. We're going to go with what's the percentage of union workers in the public sector? And it stalls. Super fast internet here.
So
there
according
it is.
to the BLS, which is Bureau of Labor Statistics, so union membership rate for the public sector workers is 34. Well, that one is saying, so that's a little bit newer. So it's raised just a little bit. So unionization rate in the United States is 36.1 as of 2023.
Yes.
Which is significantly higher than the union membership rate for private sector workers.
Really?
Yep. So
Alaska, 40%.
it's cold, man.
There's not a whole lot of people
Holy
up there.
shit, look at Connecticut.
Connecticut.
Yeah.
Whereas Connecticut is
connect the dot on that one,
67%.
67.8.
Okay, so
Screw them haters.
I bet you if we look at what these jobs are in this region, okay, so Connecticut being that's a steel town. That's
yeah,
up there
true.
where there's a lot of iron workers. Part of the to some million people that was being referred to in the podcast that I listened to on the way here is all based out of New York. So let's scroll down here. Let's see what New York says.
65.9%.
Wow, in the public sector. So that's government. That is ooh. So there you go. So this is something that can ruffle some feathers. Your taxpayer dollars are going to pay union workers. So could this constitute that you could have a smaller deficit overall if your public sector jobs were not unionized? Would we be able to eliminate the deficit? Could the unions
Are you talking about the
I'm talking
the
about
U.S.
the
deficit?
U.S. deficit.
You could probably cut it in half, got rid of half the jobs, and then non-unionized.
Right? Eliminated the public sector unions.
But you got to think, how is that going to affect the evil capitalistic people that want to come in?
The amount of safety laws like OSHA that we have nowadays and the labor laws that go along and wage.
Do you think that would, if something like that was to happen, do you think OSHA and MSHA would get more strict?
Probably. And they would probably show up at your shop or place of work a lot more often.
So that could be a downfall to removing said unions as well by, you eliminate them. So now OSHA's in your freaking back pocket. No, wait, you said MSHA. What is that?
You don't know what MSHA is?
No, I haven't.
They're even more fun than OSHA.
They're even more fun.
Oh,
So we don't experience them much in the typical realms that we do.
right.
So OSHA is
Occupational Safe and Healthy Association. Occupational Safety and Health Association there.
OSHA is more like what we do. MSHA is
Right.
more what he does,
Oh,
if I remember that correctly.
Yeah.
So what does
OSHA
MSHA
covers
stand for?
OSHA covers what I do for work. I mean, OSHA still covers like
Well, yeah, it still
OSHA
covers
still
it.
covers everything for you guys. So MSHA is mine and is the
okay.
mine and health safety. I just had it pulled up, but they're even more strict. Like people joke about OSHA coming onto the job site and like writing a fine.
Mine
know?
Safety and Health Administration. There it is.
Yeah. So anybody just go take a look at that and you'll see videos of guys like OSHA comes on the job. People will be like, ah, ha, 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 that people make fun of OSHA and da, da, da.
There's plenty of TikTok videos of the OSHA man standing around watching the crazy stuff on construction sites.
So
Yeah.
MSHA trumps OSHA.
Well, yeah, because MSHA is based off of mine and safety, which is one of the reasons that unions kind of came to be to begin with.
That's
was
right, like
because
the coal
of-
miners, steel
Yes.
workers. That's the big reason why everything unionized.
Well, and that also is a good proponent to say that unions are good for that respect, because you had guys that were in silica mines that were dying from diseases, and there was no safety precautions that were put in place to
There
prevent
was.
that.
It's called a canary.
the black lung disease.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, no, that was an iron worker thing. I can't remember what the heck it's a silica disease is what it is, and it's basically from aerosol sand is what it is, and if you inhale enough sand, a lot of Desert Storm military suffered from that because of the sand being blown around in the freaking air. They had, I can't remember what the heck it is, like silicaitis or something. I don't. See, there you go. So he's got prohibition, and I'm silicaitis. It's
There
gonna
we
be
go.
terrible.
See, time and place.
So the black lung, also known as coal workers, correct me if I say this wrong, but it's pneumoconiosis,
Holy cow!
is a serious and potentially fatal occupational lung disease that affects coal miners. Black lung is caused by long-term exposure to coal dust, which leads to inflammation and scarring of the lungs.
Yes.
Yeah, it basically just turns them black, it inflames them, and then you can't breathe.
Yes.
So
It's just flat out silica disease. There you go. Bam. Oh, winning. I was
Yeah.
smart and didn't even know it.
construction, mining, stone cutting, carving, glass manufacturing. Yeah, silica's
Sandblasting,
everywhere.
yeah.
And I know recently just in the short 8 years that I've been in construction, it's been I guess you could say crackdown on they've been getting more and more on the silica side of stuff.
Well, yeah.
Like they've been cracking down a lot harder because usually you see guys just cutting concrete, and I've done it. I'm probably going to have that when I'm older, or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But it's those firing up a chop saw and cutting some concrete, and it's like,
Just don't breathe. It's not hard.
Just hold your
And then
breath.
cut
It's
it.
fine. Yeah.
Just don't fall in the saw when you pass out.
So I had to beer thought on this one. Speaking of falling in the saws, I wasn't at risk of falling in a saw or anything, but I had to do a respirator fit test today, which is why we have this.
That's why you shaved?
Yeah, this is why I have this awkward facial hair going on right now, which I hate. You can see right here. This is not me. I like my beard better. But anyhow, so I had to do a respiratory fit test today, or a respirator fit test. And they want you to blow into this stinking machine until you damn near pass out. And I was like, so this is the first time I think I've done it 5 years now. I think it's how long I've had to do this, but I have to do it every year. And this is the first time to where it was like, I finished the breathing and it gave me the little happy beep, and everything had started blacking out. Like it was like closing in, and I was like, she's like, are you good? Are you with me? I was like, it's like, yeah, except kind of everything. Like I kind of went tunnel vision and black. She goes, oh, that's normal. I'm like, excuse me? I was like, so was I like fixing to pass out? She goes, oh yeah. I was like, I don't know how I feel about you being just that damned okay with the fact I was just fixing to pass out because of this fit test, which, mind you, I use that damn respirator once a year. You know when?
When you do the fit
the
test.
fit test.
Exactly. I don't use it any other time, which I understand that it is for rescue purposes only, but I'm gonna be honest with you. If it comes into a situation to where I need to rescue someone, I'm probably not gonna run and grab my respirator. I'm probably just gonna grab the fella and drag him out if I've got balls enough to drag somebody out of that situation.
Hold your breath.
Right. So, in all reality, what's the point? But yeah, so beer thought concluded.
Looks good on paper.
It's just a box to check and all that crap.
Although I'm sure there's probably a bunch of crap like that with unions. Like I know the biological father had to, in order to do a job, every time he went to go do a welding job, he had to do a weld test. And that was like never failed every single time. It absolutely had to be done. You have to do a weld test. And I'm going to be honest with you, a weld test to me, I understand the concept of it, but I don't see why you have to do it every time. Because, and I throw this out there as I've welded prepped coupons, and my welds look great welding prepped coupons. But if you get out in the field welding rusted ass iron that's been sitting out there for months on end, you've got to know how to prep said coupon. You've got to know how to prep that pipe in order to be able to get the same quality weld that you got during your weld test. But you went through some welding stuff too, didn't you?
Yeah. So I unfortunately went to Tulsa Welding School. So
how was that experience, Josiah? Can you please expand on that topic?
I am happy to let anybody know that they do not need to go to Tulsa Welding School. And personally, from what I experienced, I think Tulsa Welding School is a scam.
Oh.
I don't know. I can't speak for other welding schools because I haven't gone. But from what I've seen other schools doing similar stuff, if you can, in our area, we have Tulsa Tech. If you can go to Tulsa Tech when you're in high school and do welding for free, go do that and then jump on the road. And I know with TikTok and all this stuff, everybody, I'll just say this a beer thought real quick.
Okay.
I see so many kids, so many guys. I say kids. I'm 23 now. I see so many young guys that are, because you can go out early, right? You can start working. So we'll just say anywhere from 17, 18 typically. But I see guys 18 to my age, roughly, where when they want to go get on, whether it's pipeline or whether it's anything like that, they go, oh, heck yeah, and they get a rigged out. They spend money and get a rigged out truck, all that stuff. Now, it's as a helper or a hand, it's nice to be rigged out, so in case something happens and it shows that you want to do it. But
I mean, that's like...
Get some jobs first.
Get $80,000 in the hole already.
Get some jobs first, get some contacts, and then also you don't need a welding bed right off the bat. You can roll with a tub rig before you decide to really go all the way in and get a...
And you could even just roll the regular bed for a while. I mean, it's going to suck a little more, but...
I know guys that are doing pipeline that still roll around with a regular bed.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a... The welding bed does make it easier, but...
Everything's got its own spot. I get that part. It's like the specific toolbox and all that.
Yeah.
Everything has a spot, but in reality, you can kind of dumb it down for a little bit till you buy a nice one.
Yeah, and I'll say that's for beginners if you know nothing about welding and are trying to get into it. If you've got buddies and friends and your dad's a welder, and there's a whole difference on that. But swinging back into, going, to comment on what Sam was saying, there's a reason that these welders have to test every job that they go to. And it's to test them and make sure that they're doing their job correctly. Because if we didn't have weld tests, now typically you see them more on stuff like pipeline or whenever you've got, we've talked about in previous episodes, we've got these shutdowns. Well, it depends on the equipment you're working on. Structural welding, hell, you don't need to have one. I can do structural welding.
All you got to do is stick it together.
Yeah, you stick it together, and if the building doesn't move, it's fine. It's half of the stuff is put together with bolts anyway. Yeah. There's a reason they've engineered it like that. But whenever you've got, working in the plants, I've seen guys where you're welding a 16-inch to 20-inch piece of pipe that's got to be welded all the way through. And I don't know the pressures that would be rolling through it, but I know on one of them I think it was 1 million gallons of water a minute. So I don't know what the pressure was on it. And I think it was, I want to say the pipe was, correct me, but I want to say it was like 54 inches.
That's a big pipe.
So, yeah, it was huge. It could have been a bit bigger.
Wow,
but
it was a big
but
pipe.
you got to think, you got all that pressure rolling through that pipe, all that water rolling through at 1 million gallons a minute. I mean, personally,
You know how long it would take a non-union guy to weld all that up? A day. Unionized worker? A week.
well, hold on. How many welds is he making? How many welds needs to be made before?
No, I'm just comparing the fact that unionized 8-hour work days, 10-hour work days max, and then you got like hour long lunch. You got your 30-minute break, 15-minute breaks, whatever. Non-unionized, most time we don't know what lunch is. We don't get our 15-minute break, and we work until the job's done.
That's the way I do stuff right now. I mean, even in the private sector, legally you're supposed to be able to take a 15-minute break and have your 30-minute lunch. But most of the time, I have guys. I tell them, hey, if we work through our first break and we're going to work through our second break, I was like, we can go ahead and we'll take an hour lunch. Because I know guys that they like to run down to the road and They like to run down the road and go get food, or if they want to stop at a restaurant on the way, it's not a big deal if you're taking an hour lunch, because you can run down there, sit down, eat, get food, and then come back. Not a big deal. But
that 15-minute break for me,
to me, it's pointless.
It's dumb.
I'd rather grab my stuff and sit down for an hour and work on something else, and then get right back into work. Now, I know there's some guys that they're like, oh, I just rather.
They need their 15-minute break.
Well, yeah.
They need their 8-hour break and only work 2 hours of the day.
Yeah. But no, to swing it back on the welding, if guys weren't testing out every time they went, you could have anybody and his brother go and do a job and saying, hey, I got you in on this pipe weld. Let's go in here and let's weld this. And then they weld some shit together, and then my refinery workers out there, that, I don't know about you, but for me, I'd much rather have a guy that has tested and gone through all of his stuff to be able to know, hey, this guy makes good welds. He's not going to bust. So, but it's one of those nature of the beast things. Because I've seen a really, really good welder that's done it for 25 years. A good TIG welder. I've seen him bust. And they, you go down in welding, and he got bumped down to stick, which is, it's, whoop-dee if you can do it, if you're a combo welder, if you know what you're doing, son, if you're slick. But, I know it's definitely, I'd much rather have a guy test out. But like I said, too, it's safer, and if you're traveling everywhere, because you travel for those jobs. If you're traveling everywhere, it's much rather know, and hey, when this guy gets here, he's not trying to fail his weld test. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I've worked with guys too that they showed up and it's like, what?
How did you pass?
Yeah. It's like, you passed?
I've worked with some welders where you wonder how they even made it to work that morning. How they woke up and put the right shoes on the right feet.
Like,
same with
because they're just dumb, or because that you went out with them last night and you can't keep up?
They're just dumb. Like, they're cracked out of their mind.
Yeah, no, there's
not necessarily cracked, but they got that.
Like those ones we had working for us last year. We had a job going on. We were welding. It was, for any of you pipe welders out there, it was just 3-inch gas pipe. It was low pressure 3-inch gas line, and I'm not even technically a welder by trade, and I could have ran a root cap and fill way
could have
easier.
dropped them dimes better than them two some bitches.
Yeah.
Sorry for the long absence there, fellas. There was apparently I drank an adequate amount of water. My hydration level was very high, and then the beer just kind of triggered it all at once.
Well, that's okay. We just ran through talking about touched on the topic of why welders take their tests, why you want to take tests whenever you hit every job, and just to kind of bullet point, it keeps stupid people from getting in there. People that think they can just get in there and do it just because they can.
Okay, that's fair enough. I can see that, because it's kind of like the testing for your driver's license at 60 kind of thing.
Yes.
Exactly.
Making sure you still got that wobble and weave.
Yeah. In which it's also what everybody prefers, because I know, I can do a little bit of TIG welding. I'm not going to say I'm the best, I'm the greatest.
Yeah.
I can do a little bit of it, whether you want to strike or you're a Miller guy where you like to go and you tap the metal and the arc pops up.
But stick welder for life, baby.
Stick welder.
Well,
But
I'm a mechanic. Mechanics are not known for being good at welding. We're
Okay.
known at taking one piece of metal and make two pieces of metal and making one piece.
which I will
and
say,
then using a grinder.
I know anybody out there that does weld.
So in other words, what you're saying is the difference between a good welder and a great welder is a grinder?
Well, I am grinder certified, bud.
Fair enough.
I can use one very well.
I'm forklift certified.
No, you're not. Show me your card. Show me your card.
I don't have my
I don't-
wallet with me
Oh,
right
yeah.
now.
Are you forklift certified?
Yeah.
What about building load certification? Are you there?
Building load?
If you know, you know.
I don't know what that is.
Expand.
Fine. I'm trying to drop a hint in there to where it's a if you know, you know. Weekend with Joe.
innuendo on-
Load ratings.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Got it.
I
Sorry.
understand that one.
Yeah.
It just took a second.
Anyhow, sorry. I probably, it's not like I did a great job of it or anything. Man, this
Yeah.
fucking chair. Sorry.
Uh-oh.
So I'm gonna do a little beer thought here just because I came back. But in case those of you that are viewing us on the YouTubes, we have Old Johnson and New Johnson, not to be confused with Tegan Johnson.
Yeah, which I will say, shameless plug. Johnson's Diesel Service
There you go.
is now up and running. Congratulations. Yeah, servicing diesel and gas engine needs.
Be sure to ask them about your Jetadent needs.
My what needs?
Your
Jetadent.
Jetadent needs.
Can I not spell?
No, your AI photo you made.
Yeah, you know how fucking difficult that was? It took me like 3 hours just to
Dude.
get it to say Johnson Diesel Service.
Dude, I understand.
Why?
My phone died. I recharged it and still kept on doing it.
You know
Just
what?
To try and
This
get
this right here is the premise of one AI photo that didn't, and I'll pop that one up. Well, maybe I'll even put it on my hand here somewhere if I can figure out how to do that. Which y'all are in for a treat on this video editing, just so you know. But so the original Livin the Dream logo, which was the first one I came up with, which is this one, which I like this logo a little bit better than the other one that we have, which is our cover art currently. That was like rendition number 75 or something of the Livin the Dream podcast, and I was like, well, I'm not a gray-haired old man, but it's the closest thing, and it gets the point across to where it's the old guy and the two youngins. So, and they were like, hey, can we have a redheaded guy? I'm like, no. I'm done.
So you understand it.
Oh yeah, no, I completely understand.
was
But I
difficult.
also went back, and you'll notice in our cover art that the autism wrenches that were in the background of our cover art are gone.
How
I did not notice.
Photoshop.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you just
have to go
photoshopped
in,
it?
Yeah, you have to go into Photoshop. There's this little magic wand thing that you can do,
just
and
erase.
it makes things go away. So
Wow.
yeah, you can get a free trial of that, and get rid of your Jetadent needs.
It looks like I'm
I
going
don't know.
to.
But
I mean, I guess
just-
can't give them too much.
I
Yeah,
mean, hey, I'm
it's
not
difficult.
busted. Yeah, no, I totally understand your struggles, brother.
Yeah, because I just tried to enter one here. And that's what I came up with.
Let me see.
Here's
it's pretty awful.
oh, it's horrible. Here's the other one. That's the very first one.
Yeah,
I
no,
tried to enter it in.
Did you
Text.
put Johnson Diesel
I put
Service?
Johnson Diesel
Yeah.
Service, and it came up. I was like, ooh,
Yeah,
that's rough.
Trying to get text in an image on AI is the struggle.
I was using AI to type out a description of the picture to put
Right.
it back into AI to make the picture.
Oh, so that was like AI Inception.
Pretty much. And that's the
you
best
did,
it came out
You
with.
did what I was trying to tell you to do?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, did you specify which?
Oh, I got like, it took up almost the whole, like, you can put 5,000 words. I was at like 4,000 words.
Jeez,
Holy
dedication.
crap.
Very descriptive. It took a long time, needless to say.
Right. So getting back to the whole union topic here, so I'm my train of thought has been wrecked. So the union aspect of it. Let's see here. Let's consult some notes. Tegan, have you covered all of the stuff that you had?
Lay some facts on us.
You want some facts?
Lay some
cold,
facts.
hard facts.
Cold, hard facts. Give it to us. Informative. Decision making.
Alrighty.
Precise. Tony Stark.
So, the biggest union strike in America was in 1959. It was called the Steel Strike of 1959. Well, I know, right?
So what else was going on in 1959?
116 days
Woo.
that they stood out there. I think it was like 5 people died.
Really?
Yeah.
From what?
They died. They just died.
They were
Just
out there.
died.
They were out there striking.
Yeah.
They were on the picket line. Ooh, which that was a big thing too growing up, was if you were an employee or a union worker that crossed the picket line, like you were shamed, like bad shamed. Like you would basically, so there.
You were shunned without being kicked out of the...
No, you were kicked out of the fucking union. You were
yeah.
gone. There was basically, it was one of those deals to where you get kicked out and you know, the old saying, "You'll never work in this town again." That was no bullshit. Like under the union, the word would spread and you were shit out of luck. And so, like crossing a picket line as a union worker was no bueno. That was not a good thing to do. Now, then they had the scabs, which were the people that companies would bring in. That was the derogatory term that union members would use to describe workers that would come in to fill them in while they were on strike. So they were scabs.
Yeah.
Because, God, I wish I could remember. This is where I'm hoping my long-term memory kicks in a little bit here. But it was described to me by the biological father as the scab it's something that is there to protect the company, but they'll rip it off as soon as things are over.
So like a Band-Aid.
Kind of.
So why don't they call it a Band-Aid?
Because scabs sound nastier, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so.
Scabs are
Because
nasty.
if you're like, ooh, that's a Band-Aid, and it's not like that big a deal. But if
No,
you go,
but a
you're a
scab.
nasty ass scab, and I'm gonna rip you off.
Leprechaun.
Yes.
So you were looking at what else is going on in 1959?
Yeah, I was trying to find out some historical events that were occurring.
Golly, I need glasses to see that.
Golly. I've
Really?
got glasses and I can't see shit.
Really?
Yep. Well,
Man,
I'm just
I
kidding.
feel-
I can see it.
Oh, okay. You about made me feel good there.
I have
for a
to
minute.
squint.
So when was? So what was it? So it was 1959. What? Like June, summer,
I think it was March.
March of
They
1959.
march out of the building.
Ha 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 ha. Oh, sad pad. The sound pad's asleep.
But not.
There was an archbishop that was kicked out, becoming the first American
Just
object.
look up the Steel Strike of 1959.
Well, I was trying to find out, like, if there was. I guess I was trying to figure out, like, if there was, like, World War stuff going on around that time.
I don't think so.
Okay, well.
There it is. There it is. So that Steel Strike shut down majority of the steel industry throughout America.
Wow, that's a big deal.
Another tidbit of information on that one.
So,
Sorry, it was July to November.
dang, that's a long strike. So, just to
116 days.
just to educate people out there in the world that may not be privy to what a strike constitutes, that is basically you are walking out of your job and you are going without pay or anything else other than, and some unions, the larger ones, will offer you support, and there will be other companies and stuff like that that will come in and like bring the picket line food and water and stuff like that. But on the
You still looking that up? It's horrible. I think it was 300 and something thousand people were on that strike.
so this is post World War II basically is what this is, because World War II ended September of 1945. So this is after everybody came back from overseas. They're back at work and they're working in the steel industry. So does it say anything about why they went on strike? Was it labor?
they
was
were-
it wages or?
some of it was wages, but management was trying to cut down on the amount of people per station.
Oh.
They were trying to cut down on that and add new machines, like what I talked about earlier.
Okay.
And just trying to get rid of people
Gotcha.
to make costs go down, production stay the same.
They were trying to be capitalists, but the unions wouldn't let them be capitalists.
But, I mean, when you've got one person per station doing one thing, you can probably cut it down to one person, two stations.
I understand. I agree. But I can also say back then they probably weren't trying too hard to help those people find other positions.
Well, yeah, that's the reason why the union was a big thing before and after the World Wars. Was nobody gave a crap about the little guy.
Right.
It was everybody against the man.
Which
Well,
is
and it was also go ahead.
part of the reason for living the dream.
There you go.
Is to
So one of the things with the unions is, and I think that's probably what prompted a lot of the unions to occur, was the environments in steel mills and
Well, they were fucking horrible.
Yeah, and the Industrial Revolution and stuff. Which, I mean, to be honest with you, have any of y'all ever been? Have y'all ever been in a steel mill before? Like a foundry?
I have not.
I haven't been in an operating one.
Okay, but you've done road work at one.
Well, I didn't do work. I was trying to get a job there.
Oh, okay.
I drove all the way up to mother freaking Kentucky for Thompson Construction.
The state of Kentucky.
And yeah, there's a reason. We've got a couple of on the road buddies, and there's a reason we call it Kentucky.
Yep.
Because for some
Kentucky
reason,
for a reason.
there's a group of I know a couple of guys that have gone up there, and there's a group of us and we've all gone on our own account. Right. I've got a job in Kentucky, I'm going. It's not like we all went together. And every time we go to Kentucky, something happens, and the job falls through, or,
Pays cut.
Pays
all
cut.
That shit.
I'll never forget when she looked me in the face and said, I can pay you $19 an hour.
Like, you mean to tell me I just drove 10 damn hours for $19 an hour?
Your drive before you left, you were guaranteed what, 28 or something like that?
Yeah, I was guaranteed. I think I was guaranteed if I could get in there and I could pass. If I could pass a test, it was a weld test. I don't remember which one. This is 2 years ago. But if I could pass the test, I was guaranteed somewhere between 28 and 34 an hour. And then it was going to be 150 per diem. And I was talking to some old Louisiana boy, and I thought, oh, heck yeah. I'm going to get up there and make a bunch of money and come back down, and I can hang out for a little bit. And yeah, that didn't work out too well because they did a whole, I guess they changed out some of the internal people that were working in the trailer. Because I'll say, too, the company I was going there for, it was like a subcontractor for the contractor.
Right.
And, yeah. But
a
that's
headhunter
also
for the headhunter.
Right. But that's also the deal with that kind of work is that's just
It's the nature of the beast.
That's the nature of the beast. I've talked about that before.
Right.
I got lucky on my one I went to Louisiana for.
So
I went down there, and
because it was Louisiana.
It was more than what we were told before we left.
Yeah, the last two jobs that I went on, it was always less than what I was told.
I mean, it was $1 more, but I wasn't complaining.
Oh, mine was $4 less than what I was told.
See,
but that's also how they get those guys in there, and when it's on the road work, it's kind of those guys don't have a voice either because you get these guys in there thinking they're going to make a bunch of money, and then when they get in there, they're like, "Well, you can turn around and go home, or we'll pay you this." And those guys are like, "Well, I'm already here. I might as well just work."
Well, so here's another thing here. This is another spin for the union as far as the road workers and stuff like that. Like that was a large part of what my biological father did was he was on the road constantly.
He was a road welder, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a welder pipe fitter. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was guaranteed. Like he knew when he left, he passed his weld test. They submitted the results to the company he was going to work for, and then he knew what he was going to be making per hour before he ever set his butt in the car behind the wheel.
So real quick, so you said he did his weld test here.
Yes.
And they took those results and submitted them and sent them off to wherever he was going?
Yes.
See, that's gravy.
Yeah, it was.
Talk about loading up your, $80,000 truck with your $100,000 camper and hauling ass halfway across the U.S. just to go somewhere, bust a weld test, and go, oh, well, I'm out of a job. I got to turn back around, and I got to call some other people and get another job.
Yeah, screw that.
Yeah,
Somehow
it's-
make it back.
He jumped in his 70s model Delta 88 with his car phone that was just now coming out with the cellular phone and his CB radio, and he hightailed it with his 4-barrel carburetor and straight pipes all the way to wherever his job site was. I wish I could find out what year that car was. I may just have to break down and contact the old man and find out what year that car was, because I mean, I'll be honest with you, thing was a land yacht, but it was gorgeous.
Really?
Yeah, big block, Oldsmobile, Delta 88. I mean, just a huge banana is what it was.
Did he have a welding bed on it?
No,
No.
the dude showed that, and that's the thing that I've never understood too, is like we talk about like all of these welders. Like I saw a sick ass rig today that was a like brand new 2020 F350. He had a bed that matched like the dent side of the F350, matched and carried around, and was paint matched and black bed liner and brand new Miller welder on it and big old gas Miller. I was just sitting there going, oh. But yeah, and then he got these jobs and he showed up and he struck arc and then he came back home. I'm like, what did he do? I mean, I guess maybe the dude was just talented and like they paid him for his hands and the fact that he could stack dimes. I don't know.
Well, I mean, did they have the welders there for him, or
I guess I don't know. That's
not gonna
that's
fit
something
in
I
that
don't know.
88.
No, he did not drag it with him. I can promise you that.
Well, yeah, I know that some companies, because it all depends on who he was working for too, but some companies, they'll provide the welder.
Right.
And at the same time, I've seen, if you look at probably from when he was doing it, which was probably what, 70s, 80s?
Well, from what I'm recalling, it was like 90s, because I'm not that old, you dig? So late 80s, early 90s.
So even then, what I've seen is there's that shift of welders are now becoming basically their own businesses because they're
Right.
getting all of those. And also being like, the other thing too is you don't get, like union members, they'll get their paycheck, but they get taxed.
Yeah.
Whenever you can do free market and you learn how to work for yourself, you can learn how to take advantage of tax benefits to...
Yeah, I mean, but
you have to be making the money though to
and
to
you
do
also
that.
you also still gotta pay tax. Uncle Sam gotta get his too.
There's that's a whole nother
That's a whole
deal.
other way.
But what I'm saying is I see a lot more of, like, they don't just like, what it makes it seem like is your dad was just a welder. Like
Yeah.
your dad was just a welder. Now there's still a few of those guys out there where like they'll roll up to a job and they're like, I am just a welder. They fire up the machine and they're like, I just want to strike an arc and weld, and they have
Yeah.
a helper, and then depending on what kind of job it is, if they they might have a helper and a fitter.
Yeah.
Which who knows, but I know a lot of what I've seen more coming up with the younger crowd, which is the guys that are like 35 and below, is they're now, if you can say, hey, I'm a combo welder and I'm a fitter,
Right.
like you can do everything and you're good at it,
Right.
you start.
Well, see, that's where I start throwing the people into. It's, you say you're a combo welder, like that's when you go from just being a welder to where you're a fabricator.
Right.
In my realm of knowledge, it's you're no longer just a welder, you're no longer just a fitter, you're a fabricator. Like you can take a pile of steel and turn it into something.
Right.
So,
I mean, that's the difference between the non-union and union. 'Cause I don't think in the unionized, you cannot be a combo.
No.
You can't be a combo welder. You
Yeah.
are stick,
Well-
MIG. That is it.
Yeah. Well, and that also comes down to where I've dealt with, and I think we talked about this in the previous podcast, to where I've dealt with a rigging company that it is you're a crane operator and that's it. That's all you do.
Yup.
And if you don't have this certification for this crane, then you can't operate this crane. You can't even touch that crane. You have to be certified to be a rigger. And there's an R, rigger. Just and if you're a forklift operator, you have to be certified to be a forklift operator. You have to have those different certifications to do different things, and you can only fit in those certain boxes. That's it. So that's where, to me, I feel like the union is constricting. I feel like that it limits your abilities to be able to grow. I don't want to say at a rapid rate, but
it caps you out immediately.
Right.
Like you do this and that's it.
Right.
And also, the way I think about it too is you have to conform to what their ideology, or not necessarily, I'm not speaking for like just the union when I say this. I'm speaking for like if you were to go to local 381 or whatever you want to call them, or like if you were to go to the local plumbers union, local plumbers and pipe fitters, versus if you were to go to the steel guys. But when you go in there, you have to fit what those guys think, and you have to live by their standard and live by what they say for you to ever get anywhere in progression, right? Because if you fight them on it, there's ways for them to just make your life a living hell and you're stuck in the union.
I would go nuts if all you did was just one thing. Like you did,
I know right
you did
now,
one thing and that's it.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what prompted this, was that you were talking about being stuck in the gasoline service realm, to where they were like, guys were just engine specialists and they were trying to get you to be there, and you were like, I can't do this, it's driving me crazy. And
Yeah, you were just doing brakes or whatever you were doing over at the dealership.
Yeah, where I was just doing the PMs on them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That was
Local 430.
Yeah, and that's the Oklahoma pipe fitter union.
I had the numbers backwards.
You're close.
I don't know. It's just a couple hundred away.
But I think that's kind of what prompted this whole podcast, is we got to talking about, like, you were like, this sucks, it's boring, and then I was like, yeah, well, you should try being a union worker, and this is all you can do, and then ta-da, here we go. And there may even be an episode 2, because I have I really feel like that this is going to kind of spark some stuff up. And if you've got a union buddy that's out there, tell him to listen to the podcast, get him fired up, gaslight the piss out of him.
unions suck.
Yeah.
Gaslight him. Get him commenting down in the comment section, because we're gonna be watching it. We're looking to do a little bit of fire starting.
We're all free enterprise.
Yeah.
So we
Get
don't
'em mad.
Yeah, union. We think unions are dumb.
Where he uses his 15-minute break to type up something mean towards us.
Yeah, he's gonna write a raunchy email.
Make sure while he's sitting in the cab of his crane and can't do anything because his foreman won't let him move the crane just yet, that he's sitting in there typing a Facebook message.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a productivity bonus and go leave work or take off work on Friday and go down to the lake early with my boat while you're sitting in that crane on your 8-hour day.
Because you're obligated to be there.
Hey, he's just paying his dues.
His dues and fees. Gotta
Yeah,
pay
he's
him.
paying his dues
you
and
don't
fees.
Have to, you still have to pay your dues and fees, but you no longer sign the contract.
And I want to mention too, that's the other part that drives me nuts.
You have to pay to work there.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll say with union visualizing this, you've got a guy that goes into work, and let's call it on a Friday. Okay, so you've worked all week, you've done your stuff. You come in on a Friday, and typically, we got a little bit of stuff we got to clean up for the weekend. We're going to take care of this. So you do that. Oh, okay, lunchtime. You take your 15, you finish up the last little bit, and then you go to lunch. Well, then you come back afterwards, and it's like, what do you do? Like, these guys will just sit around and play cards or whatever and wait.
Right.
Or if they have a real bad one, a real angry boss, I've seen it too. I've been a part of it. I was private. I was a plant hand. For any of you guys that are listening that know what that is, I got demoted to plant hand.
Plant hand. That's the little red nom nom thing on Mario, and it's his little. No, I'm just kidding.
The job that I was on got cut short, but they didn't want to get rid of me, so they put me on plant support, is what it is.
So that's almost, so that kind of sounds like a union.
I got to work
thing too.
So I was private, but they were still paying me.
Yeah.
But I was just helping out all the union guys. And so I got to work. I wasn't in the union,
right?
But I got to work with all these guys that were union and stuff like that.
So you were more of a Band-Aid than a scab.
Yeah, I was more of a Band-Aid. I mean, I got to do some pretty cool stuff,
right?
But I mean, those guys were like, at the same time too, there was not a lot of young people there,
right?
Like, it was like the guys that I was working with were like 60s,
Yeah.
You know, and it's like,
Well, that's basically any daggum job nowadays. Is everybody's freaking 55 plus.
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah, I
But-
mean, as far as skilled labor goes, that seems to be the case.
Yeah, I think the average right now, the average is 55.
Let's look at see what Google's have to
look
say.
up the average, and then also
Googly.
when you're looking up the average, look up. I think the statistic is for every 5 people that are retiring right now in the trades, there's only one of us coming
yeah.
in.
No, I can totally agree.
think that's-
I would bet that's pretty accurate. But let's see. So average. Let's see. Average blue collar.
So we're doing 4 people's jobs.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too.
Which is
it's
fun.
They're expecting us to do. They're expecting us to do that kind of work with.
37.
Oh, that's for union members. Union members in construction production occupations, the average age is 40.3 years, while the non-union workers is 35.5 years.
Well, what is that? What report is that based off of? Like what year? Because I see 2015 up there.
Yeah, that's true.
So 2015, the median age was 42.7. So it's gone up. So
Yeah, it
yeah,
has to
44. So another one says 44 and 15. So yeah, so the average age has to be around 50, 55 right now.
Yeah. Well, and it's saying like here it's like 37 to 44 years old is with some variation depending on the specific occupation and group.
So let me see what I can pull up with.
I know that Alabama at one point went through a huge struggle to where they were in a labor like crisis because there were more people retiring than there were people going into the force, which is where Mike Rowe came into play, and the Mike Rowe Foundation and all that stuff, to where he has the scholarships for you to gain a blue collar job and, you know, to be able to, I mean, that's a career. Like, you know, I understand that there's everybody pushes college and all of that stuff, and they want you to go to school, get your degree. That's fine. But just know that if you go through the blue collar workforce and you learn a skilled trade, that's something that will be there forever. College jobs are going to come and go. They're going to be here. And I'll be honest with you, the majority of layoffs happen behind a desk. I watched it occur. That's part of what got me back into the manufacturing side of things, to where I was on the shop floor. I had a degree. Well, I didn't have a degree. Scratch that. I was going to school. I got the job based on what I was going to school for. And then I saw an economic downturn coming, and I was like, you know what? I'm more valuable on the shop floor. So I applied for the shop floor job, which if you listen to Beer Thoughts with Tom, you kind of get some insight into what was going on there and all that stuff. So that's on the Patreon side, which it's patreon.com/Livin the Dream podcast. Shameless plug.
June 29th, 2023, according to this, the average age of a worker in the general labor force is 42 years old.
Wow.
So it's a little younger than I thought, but at the same time, with the rate of everything's been going,
42 years old.
Yeah, okay, but you think about that. Okay, so 42 years old. So you're 20 years away from retirement if you get to retire at 60. So you've only got 20 years to find somebody else to fill your spot. Learn what you learn, or learn what you've learned, and be able to do what you do.
Right.
Some of these jobs take longer than 20 years. Like just... for instance, the initial job being a cobbler or being a leather worker, it's not a job that you just kind of learn overnight. You've got to do it, and you've got to practice it, and you've got to do it consistently, or else you're not going to get it. So that's not a great average, but that's also an average. So that means there are people that are older than the 42 years and younger than said 42 years that are in there. So I'm going to venture to guess that there's probably a higher age that's in the blue collar. I mean,
100%.
I mean, look at the difference between, because they probably base that off of 18, you're right out of high school. 18 to
Right.
44 that's what it was? 44 was the age or whatever.
42,
42.
according to June 26, 2023.
So you got 18 to 42, and then say 42 to 60.
65.
65.
We'll call it, because 65 is the retirement age right now.
Is full. You get full retirement at 65.
65, yeah, full retirement.
So is that full? So full retirement, is that like you're able to withdraw from your 401k at
Yes.
65,
Yes.
or is that whenever you get full Social Security benefits?
Full Social Security
Full
benefits
social
at
and-
65.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's the other thing too, and that's where and I didn't do enough research on this one, but the union has what's called a pension.
Right.
So for me, from what I can find and what I found briefly, was a pension is basically just your 401k as a union worker. So you're guaranteed a set amount of money until you die after you retire.
And the thing that I've always understood, right, is because, I mean, unions are there and unions are still trying to make a profit, right? But with the profit that they make, the guys that are paying in their union dues, it's basically supposed to be like a revolving door, is how I view it. Now,
Okay.
now I could be saying this completely wrong. So if someone wants to get down in the comments and correct me, but the way I view this, the pension thing is a revolving door where it's the guys, let's say they work from 20 to 65, right? And they've paid in their pension that entire time. Well, now they start withdrawing that certain check that they get to live out their retirement. Well, the new group that continuously comes in, right? Because you want to have a new group of workers every year coming in to keep on supplying the labor force. So that new group that keeps coming in is working and getting the jobs done that create the profit that can go towards paying the older guys pensions for them to continue to live out. So a pension is we'll say a pension is a something, a certain amount per month that you receive for many years of service,
Right.
depending on who you're working for. And so I guess they manage the investment side of funding its pension plan. Employer bears the risk of choosing investments and the risk that the market will decline. Okay, so I was completely made myself look like a fool. So,
You're the new prohibition fucker.
So
well,
so Tegan's
was-
prohibition and you're Mr. Pension.
There we go.
can I just say that wasn't as bad as saying prohibition was?
You know what?
Hey,
Your
that
time
was.
is coming, bud.
I was just trying. Hey, yeah, I'm not Mr. Pension. Okay, I can definitely say that right now. You tried to get me on that one, but you can't.
Because you're looking at a screen. I was just memory.
It was.
Yeah, memory that it's kind of a fact that's kind of important, especially we're sitting here drinking beer,
And
and you're over here. I think in 1965.
I didn't say 1965.
I'm pretty
wait a
sure.
minute now. Hey,
I did
hold
not.
on, girls. All right, calm down. Calm down.
I did not say it, okay?
So I think we've gone on a tangent here. We've gone on a far, far tangent.
Yeah,
401k
so I think
is better than a pension.
401k
Well,
is better
it-
than a pension.
I would say it can be and it can't be.
I think we
because
should view this. I think this is going to take a whole nother segment.
It may take a whole.
to view.
So drop us some comments. Get down in the comments of the YouTube. Drop us some messages on the Facebook. Tell us. Do you want us to do a little deep dive? Do you want us to try and find? Because I want to find somebody, and I'll probably reach out to the sperm donor and talk to him about the union stuff.
Preferably not a recruiter.
No, I'm going to talk to a guy that spent his entire career as a union worker. That's who I'm going to talk to, and I'm going to quiz him and ask him some of the stuff that we've talked about on this podcast.
Let's get him on.
I might even be able to have him phone in.
Let's have him phone in.
That
And
could
if
be
you,
interesting.
If you know any,
I may have to have the mute button on there. And the beep, 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 beep.
good thing it's not a live recording.
Right, thank God.
So I will add one good thing about the union.
Okay.
Is they do pay a percentage, if not full, for college. For you to go to college or a trade school for
Is
the
that-
trade you're going to.
that
Yeah,
all of them?
but there's other places that offer that too in the
There
private
is,
sector.
Right.
But majority of unions do offer that. It's not few and far between. that they do.
You know, I
offer.
think just for shits and giggles, we should get a union guy on here, like a guy who works for the union. Maybe I can pull some strings since I am a journeyman plumber.
There you go.
I can talk to local. What is it? 430.
Yeah. Well, but I don't. I think it's a different. I think it's a different kind of union. Pipe fitters and plumbers, they're not. I don't think they're the same.
It's the plumbers and pipe fitters union.
Was it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. Go back to
Oklahoma.
Oh, please.
Reverse.
Right. Everybody, clap your hands. Nope.
I figured you would open up a new tab.
Yeah.
No, well, no, I already
plumbers
had
in
it.
there.
Plumbers and pipe fitters, local 430.
My bad.
So I also had a friend that went and worked there. What was it? Well, he didn't work there. He went and talked to the rep,
A union
Yes.
rep.
Yes, he did.
and he said that he was snobby. Is the vibe?
It's like
Well-
a salesman. It's all they are is a salesman.
They're no different than a military recruiter. They're, hey man, just like I was saying last time. Hey man, you come over here and you can be a union brother, and,
And
we'll
I
take
think
care of you.
I think it'd be kind of cool to either have him phone in or get him on here where we can, talk about it. So if he says some stuff, we can be like, no.
Beep, gone. Okay, he was wrong. We hung up on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So we'll work on that. Give us some comments. See if that's something y'all even care about. Let us know what you think about this episode. Us being a tad bit more prepared. I still think we still kind of squirreled quite a bit, but that's a pretty good little lengthy episode there. But
You expect us to be professional the whole time?
no. There's why we got old Millerer Lite that is
Yeah.
on the bench here. Which hey.
It's empty.
Which after this one, we got to go on a BEERUN.
Yeah, to my fridge in the house. So anyhow, we're going to wrap this up. This has been Living the Dream podcast, talking about union and a non-union. I'm Sam.
I'm Josiah.
I'm Tegan.
We'll see y'all next week. We're behind the paywall. If you're late,
You're lost.